What's the rest of the status in Iraq? Is this when the vibe had obviously really shifted in America, but also over there as well? Like, is the military starting to wonder, like, all right, what's going on here?
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Doing the FriendCon stuff, big things like just medical support, going out and,
Yeah.
and taking, we used to call a MedCap team, medical capabilities team, and, getting kids shots and fixing people's teeth and all that was just kind of goodwill to kind of help build a positive
Yeah.
relationship with the locals.
Yeah, and I talked to so many guys who felt like, especially when they saw what happened 20 years later, that they had so many friends there who were caught in the middle of that. Like
Yeah, we gave it all back.
There were deep relationships with so many Afghanis. It's
Yep.
really sad.
Yeah.
Yep.
And when you did see that happen, I would imagine in the last decade leading up to that, it certainly was going the wrong way. But when you see the imagery of August 2021 looking like the fall of Saigon all over again, what's going through your head as someone who served there?
Well, yeah, like, I don't want to say I told you so, but it's just like, I could, that's the same thing I said. We didn't have the political will at the end of the day, because this is, I mean, it's 100-year project. This is, again, we call it Afghanistan, but it's not it's the word country in the sense that we identify with, a nationalistic view, institutions. They got nothing.
Yeah.
And and we think we're gonna do something. We're gonna fix this in 20 years. I mean,
Good luck. Yeah.
I mean, look at our country. Look, our country developed off the East. We basically said the West was the Wild Wild West. Right? We didn't get to the West until 60, 70, 80 years later.
Yep. Yeah.
Like we'll get to that. We can't handle that, right? Right.
Yeah. I never heard someone put it that way, but that's probably accurate. I mean, I do wonder. I will always Monday morning quarterback this. I wonder if we hadn't gone to Iraq, if it would look a lot different. I do wonder that, just because.
If Iraq would look different,
if Afghanistan
would have, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Maybe, yeah. That's a great question, because maybe we could have had enough combat power to really get rid of the Taliban. I mean, like create some overwhelming time and space for it, but it was a slow roll. Afghanistan essentially became, they were the authors of 9/11, and they became an economy of force operation. I mean, we had
a what?
Economy of force. So we had the bare minimum. In my opinion, we had the bare minimum in Afghanistan because Iraq was the priority.
Yeah.
Again, look, Japan attacked us. The priority was Europe.
Yep. Strange how that happens. But you did end up in Iraq after this. How long again were you in Afghanistan? I'm sorry.
I was in there for a year.
A year.
June of 2004 to June of 2005. And then I got restationed from Hawaii to Fort Riley, Kansas. And then this is when our military was, we were having to actually grow. We're building our military because we're now fighting in 2 theaters on 1 year on 1 year deployments. And so I got assigned to command a unit that I had to build from scratch.
And what goes into that when you build a unit from scratch? Take us there as a civilian. What are you doing?
I said we didn't even have shit paper or toilet paper, but
shit paper.
But it's you're building a team. I mean, you're getting brand new privates out of basic training. Our non-commissioned officers were coming out of the recruiting and drill sergeant duty, and all the lieutenants were damn butterbars. I mean, it was just like,
wow.
Whew. So, but I think it's like an expansion organization. What right looks like. You set your standards, you enforce your values, and you just take one day at a time. I mean, and I remember like being literally just the third person in the unit. There's only three or four of us. And then, 15 months later, there's 400 of you. And you're just like,
that's nuts.
And you're ready to do your job.
I'm like very naive on this, like, because some of this stuff makes no sense to me because I'm not there. but like you spin up 400 people in, what'd you say, 15, 16 months, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Where is it like a draft? Like
yeah, no,
let me take these guys, take those guys.
They I mean the assignment officers, the HR folks, they're sending them to you. They're
like enlisted guys,
enlisted officer, yeah, everything.
Okay.
Your whole, so you have we call it MTO, or military table of organization. I think the organization and equipment. And so, I was an artillery unit, our artillery commander, and so we get one commander, you get an executive officer, you get an operations officer, you get a fire support officer, you get company commanders, you get their first sergeants, and you just, and so there's a manning document that the HR folks are filling to, and you're getting them. And
you go from 3 to 400.
You start getting your equipment, you start getting your people, and you start training them.
And so is this the group that you ended up taking to Iraq?
Yep.
Okay, so you guys all deployed at the same time, obviously.
Yep.
When was that?
January or February of 2007, during the surge, after President Bush announced the surge of 2007.
Okay. So what's going, just to give people a refresher on history here, at this point, Al-Zarqawi's dead. They killed him the year before, but the damage is done with the insurgency certainly being there to stay. But what's the rest of the status in Iraq? Is this when the vibe had obviously really shifted in America, but also over there as well? Like, is the military starting to wonder, like, all right, what's going on here?
No. It's well, we know what's going on there. It's getting extremely violent. I mean, the shitstorm was picking up momentum, and so again, early January 2007, President Bush announced, he says, I'm sending 5 additional combat brigades. So all you jokers think you're leaving, you're staying, and we're sending 5. I am sending 5 more combat brigades.
We're gonna go find them
to Iraq. We got to change the momentum.
Yeah.
It was like, we were in the third or fourth quarter, and we were down, and we had to fight back. So, and we just didn't have enough combat power to do so. So, all these brigades, so people that were there that thought they were leaving, they were staying. We went over there on a 15-month deployment. So we already knew we were going to be there for 15 months. And so, for me, it was the most violence that I had seen in my at this point 17 years in the Army. It's a counterinsurgency, so it's not this force on force like the bad guys over here, and you
right.
No, it's driving through your neighborhoods and waiting for the fucking street to blow up under you,
Jesus.
Or some RPG to come out. I mean that was everyday life, and it was bad. I mean, it seemed like, and almost every day it felt like every day that someone with a U.S. flag on their right shoulder was getting killed. And it just, when I try to explain it today, it's like, imagine one of your teammates, someone part of your organization ain't coming home. That's what the environment was.
Yeah, it's unfathomable to most of us. Did you know what your op tempo was going to be, or even mission was going to be before deploying? Like, were you already planning that out back at base?
Well, yeah, we knew that we were going to be battle space. So look, realize I started out as an artillery unit. In November, they told us we were going to be doing X, and then in January they told us we were going to be doing Y. And so we had to pivot not once but twice. Essentially, my artillery, we were now grunts. We had to play, infantry.
Well,
and so we were pounding the pavement.
Where'd you land when you got into Iraq?
Well, we deployed through Kuwait, where we picked up our, we did some more training and, got our gear and equipment, but we flew into Bayat.
The airport. Yeah. Okay, so what was that like when you got there? I've had some guys on here who came in through Bayat, but is that's at this point like pretty much a U.S. mini military base?
Yeah, it's a massive. Bayat was massive, and it was, I don't know. You can maybe think of some Vietnam movie flying into Saigon. It felt secure. I mean, it didn't feel like you were in Indian country, but
you hit the pavement right when you get there.
What? Yeah. Well, so in my case, so in normal rotations, what you were doing is you were replacing another unit. So you link up with the other unit you're going to have, and for 2 weeks you guys, spending time doing transition stuff, and then they leave and it's yours. Well, nobody was leaving, and we were sort of filling in spaces where we just didn't have forces. And so there wasn't anybody that I was, getting a lay down from, or whoever I was getting a lay down from didn't really know what was going on. But, we just, and then we had a couple of Iraqi infantry battalions that we were trying to work with. And
training them or working with them?
Working with them.
Okay.
Working with them / training with them. Trying to show them what right looks like. So we had their forces, and this is kind of a cool story because it was one that I had to. I think it was certainly a battle of wills. Was eventually I decided that we needed this to because we were, just think about it, we were like commuting, so we'd go back to I was on Camp Liberty, and we were Camp Liberty, and we leave Camp Liberty and we go out to the areas that we were responsible for, and we'd work all day or whatever, and when it was time to go back, we'd go back. And this was, we commuted. And I remember I hated, there was one area I had to drive through, which was like, it was literally like the Wild Wild West. We had put Alaska barriers around this freaking neighborhood.
Alaska barriers?
Yeah, the Jersey barriers?
No.
Yeah,
I'm from Jersey. I don't know.
The barriers that divide the highways.
Oh, yeah.
That's a Jersey barrier.
That's what that's called?
Yeah, Jersey barrier.
I just thought it was a barrier.
Yeah, they're about this high. Yeah. Well, Alaska barriers are like 5 times higher.
Oh,
really?
Yeah. Gotcha. They don't come any bigger. We had Texas barriers. They just different levels of barriers. And so there's this area that was like buried up. I mean, they got tanks and Brads in there. They're duking it out. Yeah. And so. And you're driving by this shit, but you don't really see what's going on. And just like, but I hated driving through there. And I didn't feel like we were also, I didn't feel like we were staying in contact with our fight. I mean, like, okay, well, we go to work and then we go home and the boogeyman comes back and fucks with these people. I said, we got to stay with them. Right.
Thank you for watching the video, guys. If you haven't already subscribed, please smash that subscribe button and check out this clip's full podcast episode by clicking here or in the description below.